Dear Acharyaji, Pranam. After the last session, most of my time was spent in going back to the video and watching the multiple parts multiple times. Somehow, my mind cannot recollect or remember what was being told. This never happens to me usually. Mind is suddenly very quiet and clueless. There is hardly a thought for most of the time, and if a thought comes, another thought comes and tells everything is pointless. I spent most of my time in doing regular chores, sitting silent and watching your videos. There is a sense of detachment and renunciation which keeps on deepening inside. While this happens, mind comes back and says, "This is temporary and shall also pass." A thought comes which tells, "The best way is to be in a state of surrender to the Absolute and let actions arise out of that state." Is my mind playing games? Oh, that's the first part of the question. The second part is it possible to operate without conditioning in this physical world? Why Osho all his life emphasized so much on dropping conditioning? Seeker Alok from the USA. Alok. When you are perpetually in celebration, then do not celebrate the essential as an episode. Please get this. When you are perpetually in celebration, kindly do not celebrate the essential as an episode, as a passing, as a happening. If your cat has given birth and there are cute kittens, you want to celebrate, do that. That's fine. For once you get decent dinner at home, celebrate. It's sunny and you feel like taking a bath. All these things are episodic, taking a bath and such things. Kamlesh. Celebrate them. Celebrate only the episodic, not the continuous. And if you feel like celebrating the continuous, put more authenticity in your celebration of the episodic. If you are celebrating truth in a material form, then you are celebrating too early. Postpone that celebration. There was another reflection that I read yesterday. That too dealt with the state of now being perpetually in silence and renunciation and detachment and such things. It's too early. Don't do that. You will be disappointed. And when I say it's too early, I mean it's too early in the sense of time. In the absolute sense, it's never early. In the absolute sense, if you want to celebrate your essential health, your quietness, then celebrate. But if you want to celebrate of renunciation or silence as something that has arrived to you, then kindly postpone the celebration. you will find that you might have been deluded. In the grand, silent, essential celebration, celebrate other little things materially, but never celebrate the truth itself. Man has often made that mistake in his exuberance. We start celebrating the truth. Truth cannot be celebrated. In the truth, you can celebrate this and that. Go ahead, do that. Those are little things of life, the little delights that you must partake. Whenever a seeker comes to me and having been with me for a while, says that now he feels arrived, I see Maya at work. By this I do not mean that he has not arrived. The way I look at you, you are always arrived. So kindly don't be offended. I do not mean that you have not arrived. I mean that your celebration is misplaced. You are celebrating the truth as something that has come to you. It cannot come. And if it has come, it will go. Whatsoever comes, Alok, will go. Yes, you are right. You have expressed suspicion in your question. Your suspicion is well placed. If a newfound peace has come to you, it will not remain. Unfortunately, that seems to have become the aim of most spiritual practices and teachers, to give peace. And not only is peace being given magically, it is being received also. People come and share their experiences. Even to me, they say, you have given me so much peace. And then I wonder, when did I give it? I do not give peace. It is your essential nature. If you want to say, you must say that you are now less attached to rubbish. That is all right. You will say, but both of these are the same things. They differ only in the manner of saying. No, it is not the difference in the manner of saying. You are talking of two very different things. I'll tell you why the difference is more than semantical. It is dimensional. Why? Because you are saying that you are now experiencing peace. If you tell me that now you are not experiencing a lot of what you previously used to experience, I'll say great, thumbs up. But if you say that now you have a newfound experience of peace, then I'm alerted. You have woven another castle in the air for yourself. And like all other castles, it too will fall upon your head. So you have rightly said that the best way is to be in a state of surrender to the Absolute and let actions arise out of that state. This is the only statement here in the entire discourse that you must remember. And it's great that it has arisen from your own self rather than me. The best way is to be in a state of surrender to the Absolute and let actions arise from there. So related to this is the answer to your next question as well. You're asking, is it possible to operate without conditioning in this physical world? Then why did many masters, including Osho, emphasize so much on dropping conditioning? Conditioning is not dropped. Your nonsensical identification with the various influences, with all that the world can offer, is dropped. If that association is dropped, then you are not called conditioned. What is conditioning? Conditioning is to vary with conditions. The conditions change and the I changes. That is called conditioning. Now you are not absolute. Now you are not weather-proof. Now you are not condition-proof. Conditions affect you. If conditions affect you, then you are called conditioned. That's simple. The fellow is changed by the conditions around him. He is called conditioned. Changed in what sense? If it's hot, you will sweat. Now, can you be called conditioned? Yes, but such conditioning is not so harmful, nor is it really avoidable. This is the elemental physical conditioning. If it's hot, you sweat. The conditioning against which the masters have taught is the conditioning of the mind. Yes, it's hot, the body will sweat, the intellect will try to find ways to escape the heat. All that is all right. If it's hot, it doesn't make sense to keep standing there. Go find shade. But if your essential peace is disturbed by the heat, then you will be called as conditioned. Or if standing in the heat makes you feel small about yourself, you start cursing yourself, or you start rolling in self-pity. Look at my misfortune. Look at how unfortunate and devastated and depraved I am. If the heat starts having a bearing on the I, then life becomes hell. If you just sweat or if you just run towards shelter, then such conditioning is merely life securing. By life I mean biological life, not the eternal life. And biological life is a means to eternal life, is it not? You are born so that you may lapse into eternity. If you do not protect biological life, you are hurting yourself. So there is this conditioning that is all right. Neither is it harmful, nor does it present itself to ameliorative action. You are asking, is it possible to operate without conditioning in this physical world? No, if you are talking about the physical self. The lungs are conditioned to breathe. And you don't need to fight that conditioning, please. You're saying, my lungs, they are too attached to air. I will teach them detachment. The ego is inflated, so are my lungs. I'll deflate them. Don't. The man will remain a man. The woman will remain a woman. The rabbit will remain a rabbit. It is within that framework that we are discussing. If you are not conditioned, then you are not a man. If you are not a man, you have no ears. If you have no ears, why am I talking to you? I am talking only because you are conditioned. Conditioning is enabling this session. If I were not conditioned to have a throat and lips and a tongue, from where would these words come? or for that matter, the Tatreya's words, or Buddha's words, or Kabir's songs. Don't you see that conditioning is enabling them? And talking of Kabir, Kabir, माया दो प्रकार की, जो जाने सो खाए, एक मिलाए राम से दूजी नरक ले जाए. Even conditioning is of two types. One that enables you to meet Ram, and another that creates hell for you. When the body of the Kabir speaks, then it's the kind of conditioning that is taking you to Ram. Accept your essential self, centrally that which you are. Everything else is going to be conditioned. Let it be conditioned. Don't feel insecure. Don't live in the illusion that the mind can be unconditioned. The mind cannot be unconditioned. The mind will be conditioned. There is something else, the base of the mind, that must remain pure, untouched, uncorrupted, unconditioned. When that is unconditioned, then the mind blossoms in conditioning. Then the mind uses conditioning as a fertilizer. When that which must not be conditioned remains unconditioned, then all kinds of conditioning influences are playthings. They come to condition you, you say, "Come, condition me." And they have conditioned you and you are still laughing. You are saying, "Yes, I am conditioned, but I cannot be conditioned." All you have given me is a mask. You cannot take away my face. In fact, the presence of the mask is proof that the face exists. Come, condition me. You are standing gloriously bare-chested in front of life. Come, condition me. And life comes and conditions you. And you are not conditioned. Are you conditioned? Yes. Are you conditioned? No. Is Kabir a man? Yes. Is Kabir a man? No. Are you listening to words right now? Yes. Are you listening to words right now? No. Am I conditioned? Yes. Am I conditioned? No. Your choice will tell not about me but about you. Am I conditioned? Yes. Am I conditioned? No. Choose. What will your choice do to me? Keep choosing. I am what I am. Getting it? In the name of avoiding conditioning, kindly don't end up avoiding life. It happens to so many purists. They avoid all that which can be avoided and say, that this is heaven. To me, hell is the place where there is nothing but avoidance. Somebody said all the interesting people are found in hell. In the name of avoiding conditioning, Kindly don't shun all that which gives juice to life. Now, by that I do not mean that you plunge into the juice and later on discover that it was pure shit with no corruption at all. It's a fine thing. How do I tell it to you? The camps are frequently organized in Rishikesh. And when you are there, you meet the monks, the sannyasis, the munis. And you see how desperately they want to avoid the elements. Pity is not a good word, but that's what one feels while looking at them. You haven't stayed clear of conditioning, you have stayed clear of life itself. You don't do this, you don't do that, you don't travel, you can't ride a vehicle, you can't sing freely, you can't bathe freely, you can't even abuse when you are angry. Are you alive? At the same time, if you abuse when you are angry, are you alive? If you can't abuse, are you alive? And if you do abuse, are you alive? I don't know. I'm just rambling. If you can get something out of this, please do get. You cannot avoid her. She is everywhere. She is Maya. Learn to deal with her. If you are trying to avoid her, she has already captured you. You avoided the lady. And you said, now I got peace. And suddenly peace turns around. And you say, it's you again. There is nothing but her. Learn to not only coexist with her, but coexist fully, freely, lovingly. There are those who are trampled by Maya. Then there are those who somehow accommodate Maya. Then there are those who say that they peacefully coexist with her. And then there are those who dance freely with her. That's the name of the Avadhut, the one who dances freely with Maya. He does not merely coexist. He makes love to Maya. Unless you can make love to her, how will she know that she has been screwed? Pardon me the unspiritual language. I sometimes break free.